Oh yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you this morning? What a beautiful but cold day. I had to sort of think about my words there for a second, but hey, it's a good morning. It's a beautiful morning. Been on the stoop, but I have never been this cold in a long time. Well, not never, but I haven't been this cold in a long time. So yeah, the rain last night, I don't know, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or the day before, yeah, my dad said that it rained a little bit in the Free State. I'm like, for this time of the year, and then last night it was raining. Yeah, so quite interesting what we're up to. Today we talk relationships, and when I prepared for this, I realized like, Francois, this is a very, very wide topic. There are so many aspects. There are so many moving parts. There are so many things that we can focus on. So I just realized that today is like a primer. Okay, I'm going to focus on some fundamentals, and I'm going to focus on some things that we need to know and that we need to focus on to do any of the other stuff. So maybe this can become quite a very nice series to really talk about relationships, and it also made me understand why this seems to be such a complex thing for so many people, or such a challenging area for so many people. And yes, yeah, I usually bite off more than I can really chew. But on that note, just a happy Freedom Day today. I hope you're having a good one. Not the best picture I could get, but at least it's a waving flag. I think with everything that's going on and with lockdown and all of that, I think we are forgetting that it is Freedom Day today. We've missed the public holidays. We've missed Easter almost, maybe, kind of thing, because it just feels like, you're not going anywhere and everything just stays the same, it feels like. And I just thought, let me just say happy Freedom Day to you all. And may we experience that freedom very soon, not long from now. So we'll see. All right. So good morning, everybody. So many people already saying good morning over on YouTube. Good morning, Terence. Nice to have you back. Nice to have you here. Raymond, same to you. Thank you once again for being here. Denise, welcome back. Nice to see that you're becoming a regular. Awesome. Good morning, Kobus. 39 out of 39 this morning. Kobus, thank you very much for all your support and everything. But everybody, guys, like, seriously, the support has really been phenomenal. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. Malcolm Hendricks, welcome terug, welcome. So I said earlier to Denise in the chat, I said to her, like, I hope she's got hot coffee, although today is a hot chocolate kind of day. So she says it sounds good, but she'll stick to coffee. That's good for you. Good morning, Casper. Welcome. Welcome back. You're also becoming a regular. Nice to have you back. Tina's daar in Bloemfontein. My maat is if it is this cold here, then I can just imagine what it feels like in Bloemfontein. And it's not going to get any better, is it? Not in the next 3-4 months. It's definitely not going to get better. Yes, Malcolm, 350 is definitely the target. So yeah, we'll see. We're now growing a bit slower, but we'll see. We'll keep pushing it and see how we go. Elmien Lottering, good morning, Elmien. Definitely a regular. Baie dankie for all your support. Waardeer it. Then Kevin, welcome back, Kevin. Good morning on this Freedom Day. Yes, good morning. I just said hi there. Stephen Nell, good morning, Stephen. Nice to have you back. Hello, Francis. Ag, lekker om jou te sien. It feels like I missed you a couple of times. So good morning and welcome terug. Hello, Yaku. Nice to have you. Thanks for saying hi. And then Bongi, you're also now a regular, Bongi. You need your badge. I think I need to get badges for the regulars, or do something for all the regulars. Most of you are regular, so that's going to cost me a couple of bucks. But yeah, we need to look at doing something for this. I think it's awesome what we've managed to build here. Then over on LinkedIn, quickly, Stefan Matthea, Morris, Stefan, dankie terug is in Hugo Blom, welcome back. Terence said hello, good morning, Annie Bauer. Frans Hatting, more Frans. Kobus is also over there. Peter Lopez, welcome back, Peter. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Peter Strydom, good morning. And he says, mooi vlag. Yeah, it's a bit pixelated, but it's okay. It's at least a waving South African flag, so we're happy. Morning and happy Freedom Day from Neil Phillips. Johan Marais, good morning. And Ronnie Els, good morning. Ronnie, I saw your email this morning early. I will respond to you later today. So good stuff. Happiness. Yeah, let's see. What else is there that I need to sort of share with you? Obviously, guys, please interact via the chat and the comments. Engage with one another. Engage with me. Give your input, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. If you want to share some resources, whatever, you're welcome to do that. As I always say, it's not a flea market. We're not here for that. We're here to help and support one another. So make sure that we do that. Then give this live stream some love, please, because it is Freedom Day and we love each other. So please, that means liking the videos or liking, reacting to it. Please, if you can do that. And then just lastly, if it's your first time here, welcome. If you're over on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel there. If you're over on LinkedIn and that's your preferred platform, then please feel free to connect with me. I'll appreciate that if you do that. It's always the same as subscribing to the YouTube channel, but if you can do both, even better. So don't be shy with that. Then quickly, so over the weekend, I've had numerous people that have asked me, like, when is the new tax tool coming out? When is the new tax tool coming out? When is the update coming out? I usually try and do it in March, but I saw last year as well, it only came out the end of April, beginning of May, which is the same because I finished it over the weekend. And there's a few things that I did. So the tax tool is now available, the new one. So the 2020-21 version is now available. If you want to do that, I'm going to send out emails after the show this morning to everybody who's existing users so that you can get your discount on the renewal. And then if you're a first-time user, then you can go check it out. I will share the sort of where you can do that. And it's simple. You can just go to www.francodutoit.co.za/tax tool, and you can see more information there about the tax tool. It's a program that I created in Excel. It does not work on Mac, so let me just put that out there. But it's been a fantastic tool for many advisors who's using it as part of their planning. There's this misconception that this is only for people who are tax practitioners or who do tax for clients and things. It's actually not that. It does analyze tax and it does show you the opportunities, and it creates a report that it's built for the client, but it is absolutely not for tax. It's actually for financial planning in a big way, although tax practitioners use it as well. So you can get a free trial, a 15-day free trial at the same place. You'll see that there's two products. One is the full version and the other one is a 15-day free trial. You can download it, play around with it. It's full access, so you can use that absolutely and see how it works for you. There's full support on the website and all of it, so you should be able to get going quite easily with it. And that is sort of that. Alrighty, cool stuff. So let me get into today. Let me just see there's no more comments over on YouTube. I don't see anything new on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, so let's get going. When we talk about the relationships, I think there's a few things that I learned over the last 10 years specifically. And one of the biggest things that I've learned is that one needs to work on the relationships. And obviously, sometimes people will listen to me when I say that and say, like, yes, relationships take work. You always hear people that have been married for long. They will always say that, it takes work. It's not easy. You got to work at it always. And it's absolutely true. But we've got to be intentional about these things. And sort of the points I want to share with you today is really, I think, the things that are most important as far as I'm concerned, or things that will really take, it's sort of maybe the basics, but it is the things that it'll have the biggest impact on your relationships. And these things can be applied in your personal life. It can be applied in your business life. It applies to everything. Okay. And ultimately, it starts with us. With you and with me, and so I want to get really into it. And sort of the first thing I want to talk about is that we need to remember that. Sorry, I just want to switch off the ticker there at the bottom. So is that we build relationships with people. Okay, no surprise there. But I think we sometimes forget. We think that people are logical. We think that people go through a logical process when they say things or when they decide things or, when they enter into relationships. It's all logical. It makes sense for us to do this. And in fact, it's not. It's everything but that. It is really that we need to remember that we are emotional beings and that it's all about emotion. Now, I've spoken about this quite a few times in a number of episodes where I was saying like, your beliefs drive your thoughts drive your emotions, and your emotions or your feelings drive your actions. And, when I was preparing for this last night and this morning on the stoop, I was just thinking about that. And if you really think about it, if we are emotional beings, okay, that means emotions results. I mean, that's the feeling that you have. When there's an emotion, it makes you feel something. And if your feelings then drive your actions, okay, and we bring that back to that, and we think about this thing that we always hear, that people are never going to remember what you did, whether it was for them or to them. It's how you made them feel. And it's like suddenly something clicked in my mind. It's like, that makes complete sense now to me. It is not anymore a case of just like, oh, it's just a saying. It's like, how you make me feel, the experience, all that kind of stuff. No, it is really about the fact that we are emotional beings, and feelings are the most strongest thing that we experience, and it causes us to do different things because of that. And yesterday I spoke about like, what if you can use your actions from that way back to sort of control, because we needed to take control over our emotions, remember? So those are the kind of things that I think are very important. And we just need to start there to say, well, remember, we build relationships with people who are emotional. So it's all about feeling and how we focus on that. And at the end, I'm going to sort of share with you what are the important things that we need to do if we want to build great relationships. What should we be focusing on? So that's going to be my last point that I want to talk about. But before we get there, there's quite a number of other things that I want to talk about. And the first thing is that everything starts with you or with myself. So if I say you, I mean, I'm referring to you as the person. If you're the one party to a relationship, it starts with you. It starts with me. And have you ever, if you're married or in a permanent relationship or something like that, or you've been in relationships before, I'm pretty sure you'll know what I'm talking about if I say, you often hear husbands and wives say that, you know what, if she does, so it would usually go something like this, where like, oh, she moans and she complains and I can't do anything right and I can't, you know what, but if she does that, then I will do the things that she wants me to do. And the other way around with wives as well. You know, it's like, oh, he does this and he does that and blah, 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 and bam, bam, and I'm happy about this and unhappy. And he does nothing I want him to do. And when he starts doing that, then I will do X, Y, and Z. Have you experienced that before? I mean, I'm quite keen to sort of hear that. Well, at least if it wasn't you, then, you know, maybe you've heard other people in your family or in your circle of friends or whatever who's going through that kind of thing. And here's the funny thing about it. The one thing that I learned in 2009 specifically was that, you know, I have no control over what my wife does or doesn't do, what I like or what I don't like about it. The only thing I've got control over is to decide to step back and to say, let me hear what she's saying, you know. And if I'm really honest with myself, because one of the problems with us as human beings is that we would never, well, almost never, but let's say never, acknowledge when we are wrong. We will never do that. We always try and justify why we did something or why we didn't do something. It's just natural. I don't know if it's a self-defense thing or what it is, but ultimately we decide that, you know what, I wasn't wrong. I'm justified in my action or my non-action, and that is sort of what we then focus on. But if you can step back and say, let me hear what she's complaining about, you know, I can't make her do the things that I want her to do, but I can do the things that she wants me to do. I can be it's not about being the bigger person. It's about taking the action and control over what you can control. And by starting to do the things that she is complaining about, guess what's going to happen over time is that she's going to notice. Sometimes we have to make them aware that we've been doing it now for 6 months and she still hasn't noticed. Okay, that definitely happens as well. But that's cool. It's quite cool if you can go back for 6 months. And you know what? You're complaining about this because I think sometimes people get so into, like, I always complain about the same stuff that I don't even see when things are changing. Is to go back, but I do this and I do this. Have you noticed that I've been doing this for the last whatever? And it's such a big realization for them in that sense. The other way around as well, wives doing it with husbands, it's exactly the same thing. And that same concept now goes into business. You know, when you're at work and you don't get along with somebody that well because, and I'll talk about this in a second, is that, you know, people are all about themselves. It's about what they want and what they're trying to achieve. And by us trying to do the things that really would help the relationship, I think is going to go a very, very, very long way. So sort of the lesson here for me with start with yourself is that I can only control myself and change the things that I do. You know, and sometimes you must say, is this making me better? Okay, or is this not? Because it could be that the other person is wanting you to do stuff that's not good for you. It's not good for them. It's not good for others. You must be able to draw that line. But then you need to be able to make a decision and say, you know what, I hear what she's saying. I hear what he's saying. I hear what they are saying. And then, you know, you can change your ways. You can change the things that you do, and you can start to do the things that are important to them as well. Because when you do that, they would naturally sort of do the same thing back, you know, once they see that you're doing that. So it's not about who's right and who's wrong and who's giving in first and who's giving in last, who's won the fight and who hasn't. It's not about that. So this is a fundamental principle for me, is that start with yourself. Okay, you can only control what you do, what you say, and all of that. All right, so let me run on over here. Luckily today, all my things are working. Good morning, Neil Strydom. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Did you get my email, Neil, that I sent you? You asked me, and I did. I sent it in the midnight hours, but just let me know if you did get it. Renata, good morning, Renata. Nice to have you back. So, yeah, Peter says the sooner we realize that you cannot change or control other people, but you can control how you respond to people. Yeah, it feels like you didn't finish your sentence there. But it's, yeah, the sooner we realize that, the better, because it's going to go a long way in developing your relationships and getting it to a point where it's really, really valuable for both sides, because that is what a relationship really is. It is about a win-win situation. It is about, it can't be one party is taking everything and the other one is just giving everything. You know, from that point of view, and often you'll find that one of the people in that relationship may very well be a giver of nature. You know, it's just by their nature, they just give, and they will give everything until there's nothing left of themselves. And then it's sort of too late. So it's also to have that balance, and that it's always important that, you know, when two people are doing things, that, you know, it must be beneficial to everyone. It's definitely not a case of one person wins and gets everything and the other one not. So all of those kind of principles still apply as well. All right, then there are two very, very powerful aspects. Two very, very, very powerful aspects that one must always realize, and particularly I think in business, and when we're doing things like this, being on social media or being in the media or being you know, out there, you know, and if you're building a business, then you are out there, whether you like that or not, you will be out there. So the very first one is authenticity, and that's a word that's been thrown around quite a lot in recent times. You know, you need to be authentic, you need to be true to who you are. You need to do those things, but do you even know who you are? Okay, are you comfortable with who you are? And then, you know, I think what happens quite often is that we're trying to be what we think, and that's the other problem. What we think the other people want us to be, or the other person wants us to be, or who we need to be at work, or who we need to be in a negotiation, or who we need to be when we sit with clients. You know, but that's not who you are. It's not how you do things. It is not how you operate normally. And everyone can pretend for a long time, I think. I mean, if you think about getting into new relationships, that first 6 months is great. First year, even sometimes the first 2-3 years is great, and then the real colors come out, because you can only sort of be inauthentic. In other words, you could be someone else that you're not that you're not really, before you will gravitate back to yourself, who you are. So being authentic is very, very important, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a fine line between what others expect of you and who you really are. And I think when you stay authentic, and I've seen this, you know, if you are authentic and you do things the way that you do it, then people are drawn to you, and the right people will be drawn to you, the people that are right for you, because the right person for you is not necessarily the right person for someone else. So that's also important. Now, a very simple thing is, if I think about, so the way that I dress, for example, whether I'm on a show and when I go out and I would speak at a place, or I would be on a panel or doing things like that, you know, I would always dress accordingly. But chances of you catching me in a suit with a tie, the last time was at my wedding, which was 2 years ago almost. So, you know, it is not something I do. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel, I don't know, trapped. I don't like it. It's just that I still dress nice and I still dress appropriately. But when the circumstances do call for me to wear that tie once in a blue moon, I'll do that. But it is not who I am. It is not how I do things. And, you know, from that point of view, if that is very important to certain people, they won't be drawn to me, and that's okay. But the thing is, at least I don't have to walk around every day, you know, looking like that, for example. And I'm using a very rudimentary sort of example for that. And you know, it's just, that is who I am. I'm from the Free State. I'm quite comfortable with who I am, you know, and it took me a long time to get there. It wasn't like that from day one. But that's the kind of authenticity that I think. I mean, there's lots of other things, you know. If you don't like something, don't pretend to like it. If you don't like someone, don't pretend to like them, you know, because at some stage, something's going to happen. So that authenticity is very, very important, so that you know for that. And also, I think to be authentic, you really need to know yourself very, very well. So maybe that's the starting point as well, is to get to know yourself. Then the second very important, powerful aspect is being willing to be vulnerable. This is often a thing, I think, especially with men, is that, you know, we are proud, and, you know, you can never show weakness, and you can never show emotion and that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, there's a couple of times where when I'm not afraid to tell people, listen, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, this is where I am. These are the decisions we make in our business. And the kind of feedback that I get from people, like out of the blue, about, you know, that was so awesome that you were willing to share that. Because I think when you are vulnerable, it shows other people that you're not this superhero, you know, like superhero kind of person, that you have your own challenges, that you're a human being just as they are, that there is no difference between the two of you. You know, we all struggle with the same things. And the reality is that some of these things are, you know, for some people maybe a lot more severe than for others. So, but also something that I learned, and that's a reality, is that people are, whatever they're struggling with in the moment, that may be the most severe thing in their lives at that moment. Compared to someone else, it's nothing. Okay. But that's not what it's about. It's about, what are you facing at this point in time? And are you then, through being vulnerable in your own sort of thing, whatever it is that you're going through, or whatever you're being challenged with, or just being human, you know, can inspire others in that same way. It will make people feel drawn to you, because it's like, oh, there's someone else having the same kind of thing. Let's figure this thing out together. So vulnerability is another thing that can go very, very far to help you with relationships. So yeah, let me see if there's any comments. Kevin says, authenticity, this is the word I would use to describe you. Thank you, Kevin. Things like that makes me shy and humble, and all of that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Over on LinkedIn, let's see. Môre Hugo, nice om jou terug te hê. Rob Jones, good morning. Peter Stradom, givers and takers, you have hit the nail on the head, and the principle also applies to partnerships. Yes. And that's why it's important to understand the things that I'm talking about and sharing today is the things that forms the foundation for all relationships. And there's so many things. So I'm going to think about this, about how we can maybe make a series of this or go into more detail about relationships, because I just realized there are so many layers and so many layers and so many layers that I can never in an hour or 50 minutes really share enough with you in order to do that. So maybe doing it in bite-sized chunks will work better. And then he also goes on to say, as advisors, we need to seek out partners, product providers, and service providers who really add value or businesses, rather than just standing with their hands out expecting to be supported. The partnership will only succeed if there is equal contribution to the partnership. Many of these entities flippantly refer to us as being business partners without fully understanding the true. Yes, I agree with you, Peter. I've experienced this as well, where, yeah. So let's just leave it at that. But it is definitely important that one would say, we shouldn't be throwing around words like partners and that kind of thing lightly, because if it's that, it means that there's mutual benefits, and we are. And I think what you said there, what is important is contributing equally to the cause. It's not to say, well, you do everything, but you did make money, so then that means that we're equal. No, it's not. It's also about effort. It's about, sacrifice. It's about what are you bringing to the party in addition to the money that we make and that kind of stuff. It's really about the other stuff. And that's why often you'll find in a partnership where one is giving the money and the other one is giving the sweat equity, it never works out. Because at some point there's going to be some form of animosity that grows. So if you're just looking for someone to invest into your business, they expect money, but they do nothing for it because they gave you the money. That was their input, So those are the things that I've seen that have become issues as far as partnerships are concerned. So you see, that's one of the avenues that we can go into to talk more around these kind of things and to go deeper with that. All right, cool stuff. Just want to make sure that I share everything with you that I intend to share. The next one is that it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you, which is, I think, one of the hardest things really to do, because we are just naturally focused on what we want. And that's why often, you would have heard me say this, if you read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, those kind of things where the principles for building good relationships and winning friends and influencing people are already documented and documented quite well. If you read that book, you'll think it was written yesterday. But it's, it's just what we do. And we tend to fight so much for what it is that we want. Think about this when you are under pressure, okay? And you just trying to get that client to sign and to sign and to sign, for example, because you need this deal so much. And we just tend to then focus so much on what we want. It is the hardest thing in the world to then focus on what they want and to help them get what they want. And you've heard this a million times, where you help someone else get what they want, you get what you want. And that's why the very successful people are able to do that. Very, very simply, because so few people do it. So when you do that, when you do focus on the other person and not on yourself, and you are more concerned with what they want and helping them get what they want, it's one thing to know what they want. It's quite another thing to help them actually get what they want. Then you tend to stand out and you tend to be unique. And that is something that can be very natural if that is something, it's a habit, focus on what the other person wants. But you also got to be sincere and authentic. So none of the things that I've mentioned already is going to go out the window. It's absolutely about being sincere. So when you don't connect well with someone and you don't like someone, then don't pretend to care and don't pretend to have their best interest at heart, because probably you don't. Okay. So you always need to be sincere and authentic in that approach. But as I said, if you start doing all these other things, you will attract the right people into your life, the people that you do want to work with, the people that you do want to hang around with, people that are good for you and people who you are good for. So those are all the things. And a while back, we actually also went through, something where we said, what, you really need to consider who is present in your life, because people can really contribute to your growth and you can contribute to their growth, and it's that mutually beneficial relationship. But often we hang out with people that are just drawing us, they're just pulling us down, or they're pulling us in the wrong direction all the time, So we made decisions. It's as simple as that, It's not nice. It's not nice. But ultimately you got to decide, who are you hanging out with? Who are you spending your time with? And there's this other thing that's also that I can't remember who said it, but there's this sort of thing you hear a lot of the big guys say, or if I say the big guys, like very successful people will say that, you sort of the average of the group of people that you hang out with, or your income. If you look at what you're trying to earn, it'll be the average of your group of friends kind of thing. And, so if you want to move up, you've got to change your group of friends. And I understand it. That's logical. It makes sense to me, but you can't always also forget where you came from. The people that were your friends, back at school, and the people who were your friends 10 years ago, and there's seasons, there's times where people come in your life and they will leave, and that's fine. But there's this handful of people and that's something else that I want to sort of share, but there's this handful of people that will go through life with you, even all the ups and downs. And it doesn't matter whether you have no money, you have lots of money. It doesn't matter. There's that small group of friends. And here's the amazing thing about relationships for me. And I've thought about this a lot. So maybe I must study it. I don't know. But there's one particular thing that is extremely, extremely interesting to me. Have you ever thought like, no, how do I say this? Where you have people that you think like, I will hit you with a head. I don't like you. You are the most untrustworthy, whatever person in the world. I despise you almost. But yet they are someone else's best friend. Somebody else fell in love with them and they married to them. How is that? I mean, that is the most amazing thing about the relationships for me, is that, it is just as simple as that. There are people who dislike me completely, and that's cool. Okay. It wasn't cool for a long time because you try and please everybody. But then you get to a point where like, it's just like, if that's what it is what it is. And then there's people that probably like me. So, do I want to focus on those people, or do I want to focus on the people who dislike me and try and prove them wrong? No, that's like, they're never going to change their mind probably. Let me do the things here that I really want to do. But isn't that very interesting? Like, think about, there must be one person that you don't like, but yet they are somebody else's best friend. It's amazing. Anyway, but that's human psychology and humanness for you. So the thing as well is like, if I'm pursuing what I want and you are pursuing what you want, we get into this sort of thing in my mind. I can see like a tug of war, but here is and even if there is a winner, there will be a loser. And in a relationship, you don't want a winner and a loser, because then it became a competition. And it wasn't about bettering both people's situation or bettering both people's lives. If there's a winner, then there's a loser. And I don't think that good relationships are built upon that. Because as time goes on, you're going to position yourself as, he thinks he's the one that knows much and he just knows everything and he just, blah, 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 blah. And people will tend to move away from that, from those kind of relationships, because they're looking for something where it's mutually beneficial. It's where you make the other person feel important. And in return, it's amazing. Like when you make somebody else feel important, okay, and there's many ways that you can do that. You can do that through just saying, thank you, I appreciate what you do. Okay, again, being sincere and authentic. Just saying thanks, just saying, wow, you're doing a great job. Meaning it, coming from a good place. That kind of stuff makes people feel important. And that is something that everybody wants. They want to feel important. But sometimes we get so fixated on, I need to feel important and I need to feel valued and I need to feel recognized, that it's so much on me that other people then won't just give it to me. But you start handing those kind of things out, it's amazing how that then comes back to you. So the problem with this whole thing about it's about me and not about you, or it's about you, not about me, is that you get into this tug of war, and ultimately there's a winner and there's a loser, and that means that the relationship is not going to last. So very important. So rather focus on what the other person wants. So be it your spouse, your son, your daughter, understand what it is. And I made this huge mistake. There was also 2009, 2010 roundabout there. And it was a hard lesson, actually. So what happened was I learned this while I was on a course. But my oldest daughter, I think she came home with, I can't remember what it was, but it was something about, so I tend to focus, I used to focus a lot on math and that kind of stuff and accounting and things that I thought was important at school. And she would do well. I mean, she got in the 70s and that, but then there would be like for her this whole culture thing or art or whatever it was, like, well, there I got an 85 or whatever it was. And I'm like, no, that's cool, but it doesn't mean anything for you. And when you later, that's not going to mean much. Yes. And that was the biggest mistake that I ever made. And so I've told you this, that I've been to GLC, so the Global Leadership Center, the Standard Bank's Global Leadership Center in Morningside. And one of the things there that we spoke about was, the fact that you should never downplay or criticize or do things like that, acknowledge, because maybe that is what they're naturally good at. And the one thing that I learned was that, you know what, today you can make a business and a living and a whatever out of anything. Doesn't matter what you do, whether you love Smurfs or whether you love superheroes or whether you love watching the grass grow and you know exactly how every leaf grows and whatever, you can make a business of that. And that was the biggest mistake, is to say, well, you know what, don't focus on because that is what I believed. It wasn't what she believed. For her, this whole thing is important. And today she uses a lot of that in what she does, so yeah, it's a big lesson. All right. Cool beans. So let me not get emotional right now. We're all emotional beings. So I will try and stay away from that this morning. Anyway, so make it about them. Don't make it about yourself. Let me just quickly see if there's any comments. Rob says, very good. Neil Phillips, when you are authentic, you attract similar-minded people, and then doing what is in their best interest come next. Yes. And you'll just click. It'll just feel like, wow, I'm really clicking with this person. And I said this to you before as well, is that, often your ideal client turns out to be someone that's exactly like you. And I've read up on this quite a bit. And it's just that because we are naturally drawn to people like us. Or people, have you ever thought when you meet someone for the first time and you have this conversation, and afterwards you feel like, wow, that's a nice guy, or that's a nice lady, or But if you really go back and you go analyze what happened there, is that because they were so interested in you, you did most of the speaking or the talking. They asked questions, okay? And I'll get to that. But that is what really happened there. They showed a genuine interest in you. And because you got to share the things that you are so passionate about, you thought like, wow, that's an amazing person. Okay, and maybe you shared an interest, and that's why the conversation went so well. Or maybe they were just very good at being interested in you, and instead of trying to show you how awesome they are. And that is one of the hardest things that we do. And that's why it's so hard for me when I go up and meet new people. And usually it turns into, I know that if it turns into, yes, the weather is nice, or it's cold, or it's this or that, people don't know what to say. So how do you start that conversation? How do you go into starting to get a point where you can connect, and then start asking questions around that? For some people, that's very, very natural. People will do that in the pick and pay queue. Not me. I get my physical distance even before we had to. So yeah. Let me just see. All right. So then, as I said, I've already alluded to this now a little bit, is that you need to be sincerely interested. And sincerely, you gotta really be interested. And if you are really, really interested, if I can sort of take you to, if you attend a braai with friends, and there are obviously friends that you both know, and often there is a couple or two that you've never met before, so they're not mutual friends of yours. They are completely the first time that you see them. And then often the bigger the sort of the braai or the function or whatever it is, or the event, the higher the chance that you're going to experience this, where there's always this one guy or this one lady who is sort of the center of attention, and they are loud. They are sort of, just like they know everything. They just sort of take over the show in that sense. And everything revolves around them. There's nothing that you can tell them that they don't know. There is nothing you can share with them that they haven't done or experienced before. They've been to every country in the world twice, kind of thing. It doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what technology you talk about, it doesn't matter, what wedding you've been to. They've always been to a bigger, better, greater wedding, because it's all about them. They're not interested in you and what you're talking about. All they want to be is that sort of center of attention, just show everybody this is how awesome I am. Okay. And some people, I think, are just naturally like that. They are naturally energetic. They are naturally extroverted. So they can't help themselves sometimes. And I don't even think that they do it intentionally. That's the other thing. We also need to understand the difference between if we can look at what the intent behind someone's actions and things are versus, what is coming out. But it's just what it is. And the question then becomes is like, are you naturally attracted to someone like that, or drawn to someone? Maybe drawn is a better word. Are you naturally drawn to someone like that? Or do you feel like, that's not for me? Okay, that's not for me. I think it's the latter. So it's not for me. It's like, okay, whatever. You'll go stand in a corner. Well, that's what I do. Go stand in a corner or sit with my wife or do something like that. And I won't even care about the rest of the conversation. But that's what it is. So, and it works the other way around as well. It's not only about somebody like that. You need to be careful that we're not a person like that, where we are the ones trying to show everybody how awesome we are. And that, just sometimes downplaying yourself and just be interested in what they do, being able to understand what they're about and to sort of see things from their point of view. It's not to say that you have to agree with them. It's not to say that you've got to say, well, I feel exactly the same way, even though you don't, because then you're not being authentic, but it is to be interested and to learn. I think that's an important thing. You want to learn in the process and get to know them better and see what they are all about. But if you are that person who's just naturally, overbearing, and that, it's going to push people away. So it's just something to be aware of, I think, when we talk about, that, and are you sincerely interested? Okay, and with that, if you want to be sincerely interested, what is important is obviously that you listen with intent. And this is a golden oldie. You all know this. You moet luister. You've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, using them in that proportion. You've all heard that. But when it gets into the situation, I think we forget about this. These are some habits. I mean, some good habits. We've been talking about habits over the last few episodes as well. It's a habit to listen. It's a habit to understand. You must seek to understand, not to be understood. So that is very important. That make sure that are you hearing correctly? And I'm not talking about this like when you go for marriage counseling, where they say, I hear what you say, and you repeat everything back. And that's a process to get people to start to communicate, because ultimately relationships is built on communication. That's it. It's as simple as that. That is what I've seen. That is why marriages fail, and that is why marriages are successful. It is the level at which one could communicate. It's the level at which one listens and understands what's going on, and then all the other stuff comes. That is really what it's about. It's the same in business. There is absolutely no difference in how we approach that. So, if you want to listen with the intent, it means that you've got to be, and I'm very, very guilty of this often, because I'll be busy with something and my wife will be talking to me and I'm listening to her, but I'm not listening with intent because I'm busy here with something else. So if you want to listen with intent, you've got to put it down and listen, and then make sure that you understand. Because often as well is one word means something to you and something completely different to her. And then it ensues into something that wasn't supposed to be something. Because what somebody says and what you hear is not necessarily the same thing. So very, very important that you are 100% present, with clients. You need to be 100% there. If there's an issue, if you know that there's, like, you just got a notification that there's a lapse that's coming through, and that is the kind of thing that focusing, you're not listening with intent. You're not 100% present in that conversation. You got to go, either be able to switch off completely from what happened and be 100% present there, or you need to sort that out before you enter into a discussion with anyone else. So those are the kind of things. You got to hear what the other person is saying, very, very important. But then what's nice about if you're listening with intent and you really understand what they're saying and you hear what they're saying, then you can ask nice questions or great questions or fantastic questions or awesome questions, however you want to put that. But then you can ask really relevant questions. And by that, you get the other person to talk more and more and share more and share more. And that is why if you now take the previous one, being sincerely interested and then listening with intent, I mean, how powerful are those two together? And that is when you walk away from that conversation feeling like, wow, what a nice guy, what a nice lady. That was amazing. I want to spend more time with them. And what's going to naturally happen is that they are going to get interested in you. So you will get your chance to tell your story. You will get your chance to share with them, how you view the world and what's going on. But it is usually, and this is the one thing that I'm taking away from relationships, is that if you are the first one to make a move, if you are the first one to be the person who are interested, if you are the first person to listen, if you are the first person to take the actions that is sort of expected from you, from the other partner, instead of saying that, if you do that, I'll do this. Because that's what it's going to be. They're going to say, if you do this, then I'll do this. And then it goes this, da, 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 da. And nothing is going to happen. And there's going to be no progress. There's going to be no results. There's going to be no benefit for anybody in that. So the few things that sort of I think here is very, very important. Obviously, the things I think that I've said today are all very important. But be that person who's willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. Because most other people, the far majority of people, don't want to do the things that they know they should do, but it means then acknowledging that I was wrong, or it may mean that it maybe shows weakness. It maybe shows that I'm easy, that I can be convinced, and we don't want to do those things. But often you can take a relationship 10 steps forward by being that person who makes that first move. As far as that is concerned. So Neil says, find any way of giving a genuine compliment to someone, no matter how small, and they will open up to you. Absolutely. And that goes back, Neil, to the fact that people want to feel important. It's natural. We want to feel it's not, maybe important is not the best word, but you want to feel that you matter. Isn't that right? Huh? I mean, you want to feel that you matter. And by somebody saying, thank you, or just giving you a compliment, or things like that. And often you've got to hear that over and over and over again. And sometimes you need to hear it from more than one person before you actually believe it. And that's why I said the other day, you need to hear what your spouse and your business partners and your clients are telling you, because that is what they see. Don't go like, you're just saying this. You're married to me. You know what? It's been 50 years. So you have to say that, and saying I love you doesn't mean anything anymore. Nonsense. Hear it, appreciate it, let it mean something to you when they say that. Okay. So now I get all excited again. Kobus says, Neil Phillips, well stated, my friend. Peter says, when listening to someone, they must feel that you are totally focused on just them and what they are saying. Yes. Kobus says, Francois, the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Yes. Teach you exactly how to be in the presence with anyone you are communicating with. Very powerful. Yes, absolutely, Kobus. I fully agree with that. I've also got that book. I haven't actually read it yet. I've got it. But so definitely a little bit of an inspiration there to go and check that out. So then, I mean, ultimately, if you want to build great relationships, okay, how do you do it? What do you focus on? And if I can sort of summarize everything that we've spoken about, it really comes down to maybe 4 things, and there can be more. But for now, I want to sort of say 4 things. And there's a word I'm going to use over and over and over again. And don't mistake this word for control. It's not about controlling someone or having control over someone or trying to control everything around you, etc. But the first thing here is that you've got to make people feel great. If you want to build great relationship, make people feel great. Not force them to feel great. Just make them feel great because of what you're doing. Okay? Make them feel important. Make them feel appreciated. That's what you need to do. The second one is make people feel inspired. Because the way that you conduct yourself, often, this whole thing about that your children, they must do what you do, not what you say kind of thing. And that's what they do. They look at how you do things. You can tell them a million times not to do this. But if you are the one doing the things that you say they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be doing the things that you are doing. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So it's exactly this. But you can make people feel inspired. When you make them feel inspired, they feel like, wow, this is amazing. Maybe I can do this as well. Maybe there's like, I need to be more optimistic, just when you are inspired, you get enough energy that you feel like, no, I'm getting ready. I want to do something, I must take the next step kind of thing. Or just like, wow, maybe it's time for me to do this thing that I've always, or that I've been postponing for so long. But that is what, if we can make people feel inspired, and we do that through our actions, through the example that we set, we do it in those kind of ways. So it's not even being intentional about saying something to them. Motivational speakers and these kind of things are awesome. You watch them, you listen to them, and you walk out of there inspired, you walk out of there motivated. But only once you go and do something does it really mean anything. So there's a big difference between being inspired and being motivated, because motivation comes from external sources, and inspiration comes from the inside. And the one that's most powerful is the one, and the most sustainable is the one that comes from the inside, in my opinion. So that's the kind of things that like we need to make people feel inspired. Then we got to make people feel that it's possible. Whatever it is, it's possible. If Francois can do it, I can do it. If you always wanted to do live streams or make videos or be on social media or whatever, I'm just a normal oak from the Free State in Henneman, where we, only had, I think they still only have dial-up modems. So, but it's possible. You can learn to do things. It's absolutely possible to do. And whatever it is that you're doing, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to be a great partner in your relationship, whether you want to build a fantastic business, if somebody makes you feel like it is possible for you to do that, they make you feel inspired, okay, and they make you feel great, they make you feel important. You see where we're going with this? That's when that person starts to mean something in your life. That is when that relationship is built on something more than just, oh, we know each other. We must make a very clear distinction between people we know and people we have relationships with. That's not the same thing. And then you got to make people feel that, they can do it. So making them feel that it's possible, that's a step closer to, I can do it. Oh, it's possible. I thought I could never do this. It would never work. And then it feels like, no, this is possible. And I can do it. I can do it. Why? Because we made them feel important. We made them feel appreciated. We did all the stuff that we spoke about until today. And if you really go and analyze the relationships in your lives, because all of us have got someone, at least one person, and Patrick Bet David said in one of his things that I watched, 2-3 years ago, about quitting. One of the things he said, you only need 2 people to believe in you. You and one other person. So most of us have got that one other person, but even I'll go a step further. Even if you don't have that other person, you only need to believe in yourself. That is the best. If you don't believe in yourself, 1 million people can believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to move forward. So you got to start there. You got to start there and acknowledge how far you've come, and then stop looking back and look at where you can go from here on forward. And then, so I think if we want to build great relationships, these are the things that we need to consider and that we should build things on. Chuarello, good morning. You're reminding me of the book by Dale Carnegie, How. Sorry, I pressed my mute button. What is happening with that book is that, all the principles that you would ever want to know about building relationships are in that book. And about 2 of the things that I did speak about comes directly from Dale's book. And the other stuff is sort of the things that I am just using. Kevin, yes, it should be back. I see you say that we lost sound, but I did put my sound back. So definitely that is a fantastic book. And there's even and as I said before, when you listen to that book or you read that book, it's like it was written today. Okay, it is universal law. You do that, and those are the things that's going to propel you forward. And there are big people who profess to those principles that it is working. There's also a version for in a digital age as well. How you can apply that in that sense. But definitely from that point you can do that. Alrighty, cool beans. So let me see over on LinkedIn what's happening. You must read the book, Francois, now, as it talks to your subject matter very well, and you will appreciate it a lot. Definitely. Thank you very much, Kobus. I'll definitely go do that. Vamlesh says, good morning, Vamlesh. Key to success in relationships, personal and business, is to replenish the cup you drink from. Yes, it's about give and take, not just giving and just taking. When you find yourself on either side of giving too much or giving too little, it is time to rethink the continuity of the relationship. And can I just add that maybe, Vamlesh, you're sort of making a very important point, which I didn't include today. But what is extremely important is that when something is not good, when a relationship is not working for you, you must be willing to get out of it. You must be willing to move on and to do that. There is a way in doing it. I don't believe in burning bridges, although I have burned a couple of bridges in my life. And there were also relationships that I thought, like, why even put the energy into it? And then years later, you realize, like, if only I worked on those relationships. People come into your life for a specific reason. So they will either be there for a short space of time to sort of whatever needs to happen, or they will be there for the rest of your journey. But whatever it is, if it's not working for you, it's not working for them, don't force it and just get out of it. And then be very, very cognizant of the people that you surround yourself with anyway, in a general sense. Peter says, yeah, so there's a saying, go the extra mile. Just remember that when you embark on this path, that it is never crowded along the extra mile. This is a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he delivered a great workshop with this as a title. Yes, I've heard that before. So that is about, like, everybody goes up to a point, but when you go that extra mile, there's very few people there. It's open road basically, and it makes you stand out. Carol says, so true, Francois. Think happy thoughts and you can fly. Yep. Thank you very much, Carol. Alrighty, guys, that is my story for today. Go check out the tax tool if you want. If you still want to register for the business assurance refresher, you can do so. But other than that, thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. Oh, by the way, so we have a guest on Wednesday. It's a portfolio manager that I'll have on the show. So if you've got any questions that you want me to ask them, please send them to me. You can WhatsApp them to me. Most of you are on my WhatsApp list. So WhatsApp me the questions that you would like me to ask this portfolio manager. I will announce who it is tomorrow. But if you've got any specific questions you want me to deal with them, please let me know. And that'll be happening on Wednesday. Otherwise, I'll see you back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., same place, same time. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.